What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about the preseason performances of all the first round guys playing tackle. So that's Akwasi, Pening, Neal, and Cross. I'm going to go in the order they were drafted. So let's start with Akwasi. All right, let's just start at the beginning, I guess. This is Akwasi's first drive out there, like the third rep of his career, and he's going up against a productive starter in Montez Sweat. So it's a challenge for him, and he doesn't really rise to it right away. He kind of slides out to Sweat and tries to get hands on him early, which is a good strategy, but the punch is not ideal. It's a little bit outside of Sweat's frame, and Sweat is actually the one who's able to get into Akwasi's pads and just kind of forklift him upwards. He's the low man. He's winning. And what you'd like to see from Akwasi here, even if he doesn't win right away, is hold on for dear life and just kind of reset that anchor. Maybe take a hop step backwards, readjust your center of gravity, and try to readjust your hands. And if you're going to lose, at least lose slowly instead of quickly. But Akwasi is not nimble enough here to recover, and Sweat knocks him backwards, and he is now not making any kind of contact with Sweat at all. So Sweat is unimpeded at the moment. He's got a free shot at Darnold, and it basically comes down to, is Akwasi athletic enough to kind of recover from this, get in his way, get in his path, and just buy Darnold a little bit of time to get the throw off? He can't. Sweat is delivering pressure. Darnold is still able to get the throw off, but he is heavily pressured. This is off his back foot. But to Darnold's credit, that's a dime, and the play actually ends up working out. But still, not a very good rep from Akwasi right off the bat against a good starting edge. But I think that's the only pressure that Akwasi surrendered all game. This time he's going up against F.A. Obata. I believe that's how you pronounce his name, number 97 on the Commanders. And what Obata wants to do is swipe Akwasi's hands away, dip his shoulder, and win around the edge. But Akwasi doesn't let him do it, all right? Akwasi is proactive, gets hands on first, he's aggressive, gets his hands inside of his frame, and this time, he's the low man standing up that edge rusher, as opposed to what happened last time with Sweat, where he was the one getting stood up. But anyway, once he's in that position, he's able to withstand Obata being able to swipe that inside hand away. You can see that. But he stays connected, resets that hand, and then he's kind of able to reset his hips, seal off the path to the quarterback, clean pocket for P.J. Walker, who delivers a nice throw, nice catch, first down. Here's another rep against Obata. I think that's Obata, and this time the punch is not as good again. Outside of his frame, misses a little bit, but instead of, like the first play, he just got popped up and popped backwards and lost the rep. On this play, he keeps his pad level low, and he's able to kind of withstand that moment where the edge rusher is completely working right through him, and he's able to reset his hands. Now they're in the chest of that edge rusher, and he kind of drops that anchor, keeps a wide base, and he's able to recover here and keep that defender away from the quarterback. Now, you can't say the same for the rest of the offensive line, but that's what you want to see from Akwasi when that initial punch doesn't really land. Here's another good play for him where the defender tries to just win around the edge. Akwasi is a little bit more patient this time, a little bit more vertical in his set, and then once he realizes that's what the defender is trying to do, he punches. Pretty good placement here inside of his frame, turns him upfield, and then once he's in this position, he drives his legs and makes sure that this defender overruns the arc and is not a threat. He wasn't asked to deliver many important run blocks in this game. They were pretty pass-heavy, and he didn't play that much. But here was one that I thought was good. He is going to be the play side tackle here against Sweat at the top of the screen, and he is able to turn Sweat away and create a lane for that running back to go through right there. But sadly, Deontay Foreman is slow and can't hit it with any kind of juice and just gets brought down for a 1-yard gain. Akwasi's bread and butter in college were these devastating blocks in the running game, but I haven't seen those yet in the NFL. On this play, they're going to tag block the defensive tackle, which just means tackle and guard, and then one of them has to climb to the backside linebacker. However, when that backside linebacker blitzes, change of plan, Brady Christensen, the guard, has to disengage and try to get a piece of him and knock him out of the play, which leaves Akwasi one-on-one with Lawrence Guy, the defensive tackle. And not only does Akwasi, he's kind of tough to see in the mess there, not only does Akwasi not get any push, Guy is able to get underneath his pads and just toss him to the ground. Now he's unblocked and makes the play. So that's not a good rep from Akwasi, obviously. In this play, it went viral, but on this play, he's pulling, and Kyle Duggar just obliterates him. Now, you might say, well, he technically did his job, right? They picked up the first down, and he kind of sealed the edge. Yes, but I still don't want to see my tackle get put on his ass by a safety like that, you know? Like, projecting into the future, reps like that are more bad than good, in my opinion. Or like this play, for example, he's got to climb and block that backside linebacker. In college, that linebacker would be toast. But here, he just seems a little bit more tentative, a little bit more slow. Doesn't quite run through that guy, squares his feet and gives him a shove, doesn't get any movement, and that linebacker is able to help make the tackle. I want to see a little bit more ferociousness from him like we saw in college. I didn't see it in this Patriots game. Or on this play, his responsibility is blocking that backside linebacker on a screen. And this is where he was so good in college. Open space, go get him. But he lunges and misses, and it doesn't matter. But he still had an assignment and didn't pull it off. The only play where he really did deliver a punishing hit was this one. He's right there. You'll see him pull, meet Jonathan Jones, the corner, and totally knock him on his ass. But even on this play, like, as a puller, any offensive lineman watching that, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd like to see him stay a little bit tighter to the line of scrimmage here. He generates his power by kind of looping all the way around here before getting downhill, and it kind of stacks up the other guys in the backfield, in my opinion, and he's almost behind the running back when he delivers his block, so I think that could even be executed a little better, even though it does end in the sexy hit. And then on top of that, he also gave up 2 sacks. This one where Uche burned him around the edge and brought down the quarterback, and then another where he was caught a little bit off balance on a stunt, and Wise Jr. was able to slip by him on the inside and hit the quarterback. Overall, I have not been impressed with his preseason so far. The first game was fine. It wasn't a train wreck. It wasn't super spectacular, but he was at least solid. And then in that second game, you really saw why Matt Rule said that he has a long ways to go before he is a starting left tackle a couple weeks ago. And you know, he was someone coming out of NC State. I knew he wasn't the most polished or technically sound tackle in the world. The power in the run game was really what's exciting. But if you're not even seeing that in the preseason, and I really haven't, then you start to raise an eyebrow and say, like, whoa, well, what is there to get excited about right now? And that sounds pretty dark and depressing. I will say, like I said in the intro, that, of course, Penei Sewell looked bad at this point last year, and Jamar Chase looked bad at this point last year, so it's nothing to completely panic about. But he was my offensive tackle 3. He was the first offensive tackle off the board, and he hasn't quite looked like a top 6 pick yet. And I don't think that he's going to look like this franchise left tackle week 1 or week 2 or maybe even his rookie year. He's still got a ways to go, in my opinion. Let me do this on an A to F scale like it's school. I'm going to give Ekwonu a D+ grade so far. It's close to a passing grade, but it's not quite there yet. Next up, we got the only right tackle on this list, Evan Neal of the Giants. Much like Ekwonu, Evan Neal also struggled in his first game against the Patriots, and my problem with Evan Neal, and if you follow me on Twitter or TikTok, you've probably heard me talk about this game, but he plays with this forward lean, and honestly, like, the set and the punch aren't even that bad here. For the first 2 seconds, he's doing fine, and then he starts to play too far over his pads, and when his body weight is going that way, defenders can take advantage of that and just throw him to the side and get after the quarterback. Now, it doesn't really matter on this play because Daniel Jones escapes up the middle, but it's still something that you just never want to see. You never want to see your franchise tackle on the ground like that, and defenders took advantage of him with push-pull moves in college, and you saw the Patriots key in on it immediately in his debut, so it's definitely something to fix. Again, here at the bottom of your screen, this time in the run game, he's going to fire off into that defender and just be playing too far over his pads. And then the defender's going to be like, all right, if you're going to lean that far forward, I will just pull you even farther forward and see if you can balance. And he can't. Falls on his face. Defender's able to kind of be in on the tackle there. On this play, that bad habit actually results in a pressure on the quarterback. Once again, you really see him really leaning forward. Defender's like, all right, I'll just push you in that direction. And he stumbles off that way. Now the defender has a free shot at Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones hits the Carson Wentz duck move, which never works. But it works here, but he still gets sacked. But a bad rep from Neal either way. There were some good reps from this Patriots game. On this play, the punch is good. Great hand placement, locks him down. It looks like the defender tries to yank him forward on this play. Watch it right there, but he doesn't fall. he is able to recover and totally locks him down. He's kind of hard to find in the mess here. He's right there. And the reason why he leans is because he's so big and he's so heavy that a lot of times putting his whole body weight on someone will just knock them over, right? So it's a bad habit and can get him in trouble, but there are plays like this one where he just knocks this guy to the ground, gets a pancake. I think this was actually the first snap of the game. But overall, he definitely looked mid in the first game, but in the second game, he looked a little bit better. This was probably my favorite pass block from him. All right, does a nice job getting out of his stance, mirroring the defender. Then that edge rusher tries to hit a long arm, and when he shoots his hand, initially he can't quite reach his frame because that edge rusher is really low. So then he doesn't panic, he doesn't just get knocked backwards, he just resets himself. You see him find the elbow, a pressure point of that guy, just lifts it up, and all of a sudden he's knocked off balance, and Neal can pile on top of him. Good pocket for Jones to throw from. Here's another good rep from him. I think his footwork is good. The edge rusher tries to throw a couple of different moves at him, right? Strings a couple different ones together, but he parries all of them, continues to stay balanced and work this guy upfield to the point where eventually at the end, he actually pushes the defender off the screen. Great pocket for Jones, and he's able to pick up the first down. Already, he showed a lot of improvements in the weight distribution category, didn't find himself on the ground nearly as much, won most of his pass blocking reps. And I think he's been a stout run blocker in both games. Despite his massive size, he does a pretty good job staying low and getting under the pads of these defensive tackles, keeping his legs moving and creating push off the line of scrimmage for running backs to run behind. There was one time where it looked like maybe Neal was caught leaning. Cam Sample hits the inside move and beats Neal, but the ball is out quickly. But overall in this game, that was the only time that I really noticed him getting beat badly, and the guard was there to help out, so nothing even came from it. Overall, I think that it was a nice bounce back game from Neal, and he looked all right. I don't feel great about Neal looking great right away. I think that leaning and weight distribution problem is going to cause some embarrassing moments. I think he's going to fall on his face, and he's going to end up on NFL hate memes, and it's going to say, this is who the Giants drafted in the top 10. I think that there's going to be some embarrassing moments for him because of that, but I do think that the overall sample is going to be all right. I feel decent about him at right tackle. I don't think he's going to be elite right away, but based on what I saw in that second preseason game and based on what I saw in college, I do think that there is going to be some nice play from him. I feel better about him than Akwasi, but I don't think it's been a great preseason, and apparently he's looked a little iffy in training camp. Overall, I'm going to give his performance like a C-, so a passing grade, but barely. Charles Cross has been extremely nice in pass protection this preseason. PFF has charted him with 0, that's right, 0 pressures allowed so far. Look at Charles Cross's feet here, all right? Does a nice job on the set, avoiding under or overstepping. You want to keep that outside foot at the midpoint of that edge rusher as he comes around. And when he does, he's trying to convert speed to power here. Now, he is able to get into Cross's frame a little bit, but Cross hops backwards a little bit, drops those hips, drops that anchor, and is eventually able to stymie this pretty shortly. Now, the edge rusher has to break out some sort of counter move, tries to kind of cut inside here. Cross sees that, disengages for a second, is able to jump in front of him, re-engage, and then drive him away from the quarterback here, and does a nice job keeping Geno clean and giving him a lot of time to throw. And then that's the lower body, and then you see the upper body and the punch that he eventually gives here. Once there's speed to power, he gets on his pec and then his upper bicep, and that is kind of how he's able to drive him around a little bit. Good punch, powerful punch, it always is with Charles Cross. And then again, you see the disengage and then re-engage, once again getting into his frame. Good grip strength there, kind of grabbing onto him and not letting go, but it's not holding because he's inside of his frame. Just really good job syncing up that upper and lower body, and when you do that, that's how you allow 0 pressures in 2 games. In week 2, Cross had a couple reps against Robert Quinn, who I believe was second-team All-Pro last year with 18.5 sacks. And Geno still had all day to throw. On this play, Quinn is really going to crash inside, but Charles Cross doesn't panic. All right, keeps him at a good depth. All right, if he were to push him too far forward, it could mess with this blocker. Next, let's take a look at Seahawks rookie Charles Cross. And this looper could come around free, but if he gets knocked back too far, that could really inhibit this running back trying to get out into the flat. He controls him, keeps him out of everyone's way, and you see his footwork. Just step, replace, step, replace, step, replace. Keeps him at a really good depth. Totally out of play. Geno could have made a gourmet dinner back there with the amount of time he had. Delivers a great throw over the middle on third down, but sadly, Swaim, whatever his name is, it goes right through his hands. Obviously, the downside with Cross has been all the penalties. Against the Bears, he had 4 false starts, 1 holding call. But he's not going to get 5 penalties a night. Maybe he's a penalty-prone guy, and maybe that's frustrating right away. But if he is that technically sound as a pass protector, which he was in college, and it has immediately translated, like, you're going to take that every day of the week and twice on Sundays if it means a couple false starts in the second week of preseason. I'm still very high on his pass protection overall, despite these penalties. Now, we always kind of knew that Cross was a good pass protector because he did it so much last year in Mike Leach's system, but how is he as a run blocker? It's been a little bit more questionable than his pass blocking, like on this play against the Bears. Where is he? He is right there. Everyone else on this line is going to move to their left in a zone scheme, and then he did not get the memo, and he's going to move right. And then this guy who he is supposed to block is just going to get a free release to make a play in the backfield. That was bad. He's the play side tackle on this run, and he does not get much push at the point of attack here. That hole closes up, and then Homer actually ends up making an incredible play and bounces this right side. But it's not a great push from Cross. Kind of like the Ekwonu play I showed earlier, he's climbing to the backside linebacker, and I would like to see a little bit more tenacity here as he misses and 45 is able to make the play. But overall, when you've got these franchise left tackles, the main thing that you're worried about is the pass protection, and I think he's been really good in that area. And so is Abe Lucas on the other side, and Lucas has been a good run blocker as well. It's rare to get rookie tackles who do a good job. Rashawn Slater was one last year. I think that Cross could be the best one year one, and really throughout the whole career. I had him very high on my big board as well. So I would give him an A-. I really would, despite some flaws, despite some penalties, despite the run blocking. I think that he has shown the main thing that you want to see from a young tackle, and I feel pretty good about him holding up for Geno Smith or Drew Lock, but probably Geno Smith, week 1. And then last, but certainly not least, we got Trevor Pening. It's really been the tale of two phases for Pening so far. The running game has been great. He's looked like a fantastic run blocker, but pass protection has been slightly dicey. So let's start with pass protection. He's up against number 45, what's his name? Ogbonnia Okoronkwo, I think that's how you pronounce it. And Okoronkwo was able to register a couple different pressures when Pening was guarding him. On this play, he's going to hit a spin move. And to the credit of 45 here, it's a really good move, really good hand placement on that inside elbow, and then walling him off with that other arm, quickly pivots, and then gets his hips pointed directly at the quarterback and takes off. I think this move would beat a lot of tackles, but right when he punches, I think that Pening is a little bit too upright. You see kind of low man wins, I've said it before, and I think when you watch like Evan Neal, who's just as tall as Pening, if not taller, has a little bit more leg bend when he's blocking, which I like. Pening is a little bit too upright here, in my opinion, and it kind of prevents him from making an athletic play here, because once 45 hits that, you've got to be pretty special to react quickly enough to get in his way. And Pening, unfortunately, looks completely clumsy, puts that leg out way out here, which of course doesn't stick, and he just falls over and looks like a complete klutz. So he's coming out of Northern Iowa. This is NFL speed, and this is a good move. And it just kind of looks like at the top of that move, he kind of just misses on footwork. And then on this next play, 45 wins around the edge. But to be fair to Pening, it looks like maybe he's expecting a chip from the running back here. And if that chip lands, there's probably no problem here. But that running back doesn't end up chipping. And once again, he's bothering Book in the pocket. Once again, just the speed of NFL guys is very different than Northern Iowa. Pening tested very well, so I believe that he probably is a good enough athlete to get this depth, and he looks pretty explosive coming out of his stance. But I just think the footwork needs to be a little bit cleaner, a little bit quicker. It's just a little slow right now, and there's a couple of things that could have happened from his teammates that would have helped there, but not a great rep from him either. And on this play, 45 is going to threaten to win around the edge again. Then he's going to stick his foot in the ground and cut inside. Once again, footwork isn't quite quick enough. He's just upright again, just playing very high here and not able to adjust quickly to that inside move. a little bow-legged here, just not a very athletic position that he's in right now, and can't recover. It's a sack on Book. So definitely struggled a little bit in that Texans game. Also drew a holding penalty one time when 45 was rushing around the edge. In the Packers game week 2, I think he fared a little bit better, but there were still problems with the pass protection. Again, playing a little bit upright here, and when he punches, he misses high. He misses above the shoulder of this defensive end, and then that defensive end is able to dip, turn the corner on him, and Book is able to throw this as soon as he hits the top of his drop, right? 1, 2, 3, throw. It's a horrible throw because it's Ian Book, but still, if he would have had to hold the ball here, I think that probably would have been a pressure allowed by Pening. Same sort of issue here. Again, it's hard because he's so tall, but when he punches, seems like he misses just a little high again, and that allows that defensive end to dip the shoulder, swipe his hands away, and get a pretty free shot at Book here. It looks like Pening might get away with a little bit of a holding penalty on 55's shoulder there when he brings him down, but at any rate, it disrupts the pocket, and Book has to kind of abandon the play here. And then one more time at the bottom of your screen now, Kingsley Enagbare kind of takes him for a ride, once again wins around that outside shoulder and forces Book to scramble. So definitely wasn't a perfect pass protection game, although I thought it was better against the Packers in the second week of the preseason. And Pening has had some good moments in pass protection too. Like, I thought he was really good against stunts in this Packer game. You see 2 of them here. He was also able to successfully deter a spin move a little bit later, so that's progress. This is pretty good recovery from him, so you like to see that. But I think everybody can agree that it's fair to say that he is a work in progress as a pass protector. It's the run blocking that's really been exciting. When they run behind him, he really does a great job meeting these ends, twisting them away from the play, and paving these beautiful B gaps for running backs to cut through. Can't say quite the same thing about the backside tackle, but it's a good job by Pening here. And then against the Texans, there were so many times where he was able to step in front of the 3-tech and seal him off in the running game in these zones. And it's really tough to cross someone's face and turn them out of the play, but over and over again, he was able to do it. It's also a bruising run by the running back there. I'm really unsure on what grade to give Pening because you see what he does in the running game and see how he's pretty much already elite in that area as far as I can tell. And then you think, well, if he cleans up the pass blocking, then you've just got like one of the best tackles in football. And then I want to kind of give him a high grade because of that. But at the same time, do I feel comfortable with him protecting my quarterback's blind side based on what I've seen in this preseason performance? Not really. So much like Evan Neal, I'm going to give him a passing grade. I think that he's been a little bit better than Neal because of that run blocking prowess. So I gave Neal a C-. I'm going to give Pening a C+. A C+. Like an A run blocking and like a D+ pass blocking would be how that grade is calculated. But anyway, he's been all right. He's been all right. So yeah, those are my rankings of all the tackles right now. I'm sorry, Tyler Smith fans, Cole Strange fans, Zion Johnson fans, and Tyler Linderbaum fans. I can't make this video an hour long, so I ignored the interior linemen for now. But anyway, if you need a recap, Charles Cross is the one I feel most confident about by far. Yeah, I gave him an A-. And then Pening, because of his superior run blocking, I gave him a C+. Evan Neal has been a little bit shaky, but still had some promising moments. I gave him a C-. And Ekwonu, I'm a little bit worried about. I don't think I would give him maybe a starting nod immediately. I gave him a D+. So again, just 2 games of preseason. Doesn't matter that much, but it is film to break down, and I'm doing it to the best of my abilities. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.